All right. Well, something followed me home today. I was actually out to a trip at the local junk store. I wanted to buy some wire and some packing tape. I know they have a good price on packing tape, so I went for that mostly. But I was looking for some braided wire, and I found a spool of wire that's about 3/8 of an inch. Double braid, hollow braid, and that should do me. It's about a half a spool of it for $16, so that was a good deal. Interesting. From Sunnyvale, California, here in the Silicon Valley, Sunnyvale, California, 800 252 wire. So I don't know if they just re-spooled wire, or I can't believe they actually built it. From Valencia also. So I don't know. Anyway, that's what I went for. I needed some ground straps for my ham radio stuff, and I'm tired of using Romex, which is really, really stiff. I wanted something flexible, and I wanted some braid. So anyway, so the story was, I was in the parking lot. I had just pulled up, and this particular junk store has a electronics recycling section. There's a big dumpster, and you can throw anything in the dumpster, and they recycle it for you, which is great. And there was some guy with his trunk open, and he was starting to unload stuff and taking it over to the dumpster and throwing it in. And I looked over, and he had this thing. It was laying on the ground. I went, wow, that's pretty cool. And he goes, you want it? It's yours. And I went, okay, I guess I better take it home. So it's a nice big one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's got switches. Don't know exactly how they're wired, but switches, common. See, the center is common. It must be single pole double throw. That's probably shorts these two and shorts these two. It's got a section here of momentaries, common and normal on and normally off. So I've got 4 of those. It's got a bunch of lights up at the top here. VN greater than 1.5 volts, and with a 4.7K resistance. So that's kind of interesting. And then it has power, and it has a rail here. And there are 2 red binding posts. So I don't really understand that. Is one ground? Let's say ground's down here at the bottom, and then there's 2 at the top. So maybe there's 2 5-volt rails, just to split the current out, and then 1 ground rail at the bottom. I'm not quite sure about that. It is from E&L Instruments, Derby, Connecticut, the Elite 3 Circuit Design Test System. So let me spin this thing around. Look at the back of it, which I think is interesting for a couple of reasons. So let me get a block here to kind of move it up. That'll work. So first of all, property of Santa Clara University, which is right here in town. I live in Santa Clara, and pretty interesting. Santa Clara is a school that's up and coming. It has $1 billion to spend to make itself bigger. So it'll be a nice place soon. So there's a regulator here. Looks like it's either a pass transistor or one of the fancy 5-volt regulators, but there's only one of them, so I don't know why there's 2 binding posts. But I say we just turn it on and watch it blow up. Let's check the fuse while we're here. Make sure the fuse is okay. It's a slow blow fuse. It looks fine. So it was probably working the last time somebody had power on it. Looks like there is no model number and no serial number on this thing, which is interesting. Maybe it was a donation to the school. I don't know. Santa Clara University is known for its law program. But it does have a good engineering program too. It had a good program for after-hours engineering school. You could get your master's degree after hours, which is kind of nice for Silicon Valley. But let me plug this thing in. And, oops. We will throw the switch and see what happens. Well, a light comes on. And there's a second light, which I don't know what the second light is, but it is not on. So let me measure some voltages here. Oh, my voltmeter seems to have died. It is not operational. Oh, I often use a different voltmeter here. I'll turn this one on. And we will connect something up here. I will connect this to a ground post. Connect this to a 5-volt post, and it reads 3.0 volts. That's not good. And this one reads 5 volts. So, up there. 5.02, that sounds pretty good. And I don't know why the other one doesn't work. So maybe it's a bad capacitor. Maybe I don't know how to make it work. But this one, oh, wait a minute. Maybe they're both working now. Oh, they're both working now. Maybe the capacitor took a long time to charge up. It's probably a very, very dry capacitor. And now it's probably working. So we'll have to look inside there. Maybe replace the... Anyway, both of these are 5 volts now. So if we short these two together, the one light should turn on. Let's see if, let me get a wire jumper. And see if we can jumper these together. Put that one in there and that one there. And oh, it does. It does come on. And it looks... Well, it flashed on, and then it went away. Oh, that's too bad. But it burned out. Interesting. Let me put the 5-volt back. Oh, we have 0. We have 0 volts now. Oh, there we go. I turned it on and off, and it came back. Interesting. So we have, I think you can see that barely visible. So, oops. All of these seem to be working. They seem to be neons. Believe it or not. They do seem to be neon lights. Don't know how that works. Have a pretty high voltage for neons. So there must be a circuit board in there and some fancy stuff going on. Then we have some switches here. Try those out. Common and normally on. Off. Let's measure resistance. Go across these here. I'm looking down here right now. So there we go. Now it's shorted, and now it's open. And if I move this down here, it's now shorted and open. So anyway, that's what it is. It's just normally open and normally closed. We've got 10 input switches, and we've got 4 that are momentary. This is normally on, so this should be shorted, and it says 6 ohms, and when I push it, nothing happens. Interesting. And then if I go this way, it's 25K, and when I push it, it stays 25K. So I'd say Something's gone bad over here too. Let's look at this one. 12K and it goes to 300K. Yeah, so these switches are very, very dirty. Very, very dirty. 0.6 ohms and 1.2 ohms. Yeah, these switches are bad, bad, bad. Don't use those. It's got some BNCs, so you can hook up things to go off on something else. You could build little circuit boards and plug them in here and connect to the edge connector. It's a pretty nice little board. Actually, big board. It's quite large, but about 18 inches across and a foot this way. So, yeah, for free. For free, I'll take it. I don't know how dirty the proto boards are, but they looks like they haven't been used all that much. Yeah, pretty cool. All right, let's see what's inside of it. I took all the screws out, and okay, there is stuff inside. There we go. So let's look down here. These are actual neon lamps, and there are transistors that drive these neon lamps, and I'm assuming this is probably high voltage here somewhere. What is this capacitor? 150 working volts, 8 microfarads. It's probably dry as could be. There's a cool circuit over here that's just kind of there, and that goes to this. So it must be a second regulator for the 5 volts. There's probably one for this 5 volts, and these are shorted together. Huh. So over here, the two 5-volt rails are shorted together right here, and I don't know why the one neon worked and the other neon didn't work. So this is very interesting. Why there's this internal circuit here that looks like a Zener diode, 2 resistors, and probably an NPN transistor. So that's interesting. Over here, those momentary switches actually connect to some TTL logic. There's 2 chips here, so probably some bad connections there. There's maybe bad capacitors here, so we can troubleshoot that. These switches over here are just like manual switches. There's nothing strange going on there. And then if we look inside, let's see, how can I hold this? I'm just going to hold it. Here, there is a circuit board. It says Elite 3 amp power supply. So there's a 3 amps here. So I'm imagining it's 5 volts at 3 amps. And I don't understand. Let's see. What is this? This wire comes over here. Wire goes down over there. I don't know. I'll have to see if I can find a schematic for this thing. This is a bit strange. This circuit board is definitely strange. Having neons is definitely strange. I suppose I could probably swap those out and put in LEDs, but that would be a lot of work. I think I'll just stick with the neons. They seem to work. Change this capacitor out, and in the bottom, I'm sure Oh, I can see already. There's a huge capacitor on that 3 amp power supply that I'm sure needs replacing. So I'll have to take a look at that too. But I think first thing in order is to try to find a schematic for this thing and fix it up a bit.